1640 in Japan, he had never lost a duel in his life. Not once. Not against masters. Not against warriors who trained their entire lives for one moment of glory. Yet here is what history whispers but rarely explains. He did not win because he was faster. He did not win because he was stronger. And often, he did not even carry his best sword. So how did he always prevail? Because he understood something the schools never taught. Not techniques. Not forms. Not secret strikes. But disciplines. Mental laws so powerful that a warrior who mastered them could never be controlled. The deepest truths were passed only to a few. Men who disappeared into history, leaving legends behind. This is the story of one of them. A feared samurai who fell, and the secret that would forge him again. He had never lost a duel in 20 years. So when he fell to his knees after only 3 breaths, the crowd didn't gasp. They went silent. They called him Takeda no Ryan, the thunder of the eastern provinces. His name ended battles before swords were drawn. Bandits fled at whispers. Lords bowed without asking. For 20 years, Ryan had never known defeat. Until a stranger arrived. No banner fluttered in the wind. No clan markings declared his allegiance. A worn blade wrapped in cloth was all he carried. The duel was set at dawn. No insults were thrown. No ceremony marked the occasion. 3 breaths. Steel met steel once, and Ryan fell to one knee. The stranger bowed, turned, and vanished into the mist. No name, no trace. The crowd remained motionless. Ryan rose slowly, but the world no longer recognized him. That night he carried no armor, no banner, no crest. He burned the symbol of his house. He left everything behind. And he walked into the mountains alone. A warrior stripped of honor, facing a silence heavier than any battlefield. In the wind he heard whispers of a lesson he could not yet see. A lesson that would change him forever. Chapter 1, Discipline of Silent. In the mountains he learned something terrifying. The voice that ruined his life was his own. The mountain did not greet him. It howled. Wind tore through the pine trees like 100 angry spirits. Snow stung his skin, biting deep into flesh that had grown soft in comfort. Hunger followed him like a shadow, whispering cruel truths. You are alone, you are nothing, you have fallen. For weeks Ryan spoke to no one, not even himself. The world had gone quiet, but the silence was not peace. It pressed against him heavy as stone, testing his mind, stripping away vanity and fear alike. He tried to curse, to cry, to shout into the wind, but the mountain swallowed every sound. At night, when the cold cut to his bones, he would huddle beside small fires that barely held the darkness at bay. And still, no answer came. Until one night a voice broke the silence. Not loud, not angry, not demanding. Just calm, precise. Good, the voice said. You have learned the first discipline. Ryan's hand shot to his blade, instinct sharper than ever, eyes scanning the shadows. From the darkness emerged an old man, wrapped in tattered rags with a face carved by time and hardship. He moved with no hurry, but his eyes were as sharp as a hawk's. I am no enemy, the old man said. Ryan lowered his sword slightly, though the tension did not leave his shoulders. Silence, the old man said, is where pride starves to death. Ryan frowned. Silence, he whispered, voice hoarse, almost bitter. I have lived in silence before, and it brought me nothing but failure. The old man smiled faintly, as if he had waited a lifetime to hear those words. True silence, he said, is not the absence of sound, but the absence of ego. The world screams, and so does the heart. Until a warrior can quiet himself completely, he will be eaten by his own pride. Ryan looked into the dying fire. For the first time, he noticed the way the shadows twisted and danced, unafraid of him, unbound by his reputation, indifferent to his past. And in that moment he understood. The mountain did not care who he was. The wind did not care how fast his blade could strike. The snow did not care for his fame. Only he could conquer himself. Only he could learn the discipline of silence. And as the fire sputtered and died, Ryan closed his eyes, letting the cold and the stillness enter him like a teacher shaping him from the inside. This was not peace. This was the first lesson of a path he had never known, a path that would break him and rebuild him into something far deadlier than he had ever been. Chapter 2, Discipline of Humility. The old man said one sentence that hurt more than the defeat. You didn't lose because he was stronger. You lost because you were famous. The word struck deeper than any blade. Ryan's jaw tightened. His hands curled into fists, knuckles whitening as memories flooded back. The crowd, The whispers, the weight of a name that had once bent the world. The old man revealed nothing of himself. Only this: "I watched you lose." Ryan stepped forward, anger rising like heat from his chest. "You watched me?" The old man smiled, not with mockery but with certainty. "You fought to protect your name," he said calmly. The stranger fought to end the duel. The mountain wind passed between them, carrying the truth Ryan did not want to face. He remembered it then. How his stance had been perfect. How his form had been flawless. And how his mind had been crowded not with the opponent before him, but with the eyes watching. The expectations, the legend. Humility did not come as a bow. It came as hunger. The next morning the old man gave Ryan no sword, no drills, no lessons in form or strike. Instead, he handed him a broken bucket. "Carry water." Ryan obeyed. His shoulders burned. His pride burned hotter. Then came wood to chop, rice to cook, wounds to clean, his own and the old man's. Days turned into weeks. His hands cracked. His body ached. And still the sword remained untouched. Each task felt smaller than the last. Each sunrise stripped him further of who he used to be. One night, exhausted and shaking from hunger, Ryan finally spoke. "When will I train again?" The old man looked at him for a long moment. "Until you accept being small," he said. "You will never be sharp again." Ryan lowered his head. Not in defeat, but in understanding. The blade had once served his ego. Now his ego was being starved. And in that starvation, something cleaner began to form. Something quieter. Something real. This was the discipline of humility, and it cut deeper than steel. Chapter 3. Discipline of daily practice. He didn't train to win anymore. He trained because stopping would slowly kill him. Months passed. The mountain changed and so did he. Before the sun ever touched the peaks, Ryan was already awake. Cold seeped into his bones as he stood barefoot on frozen earth, gripping a wooden blade worn smooth by repetition. 1,000 swings. Not fast, not hard, perfect. Each strike carved the air the same way. Each movement measured, deliberate, mercilessly honest. There was no crowd to impress. No name to defend. Only the blade and the man holding it. When his arms began to tremble, the old man struck him with a thin stick. Sharp, sudden. Again. Pain flared, but Ryan did not stop. When his breath broke, chest heaving, vision blurring from cold and exhaustion, the old man leaned close and whispered, "Again, victory is rented, and rent is due every day." Snow fell. Spring came. Summer followed. Still 1,000 swings. Some days his body moved easily, like water flowing downhill. Other days, every motion felt like lifting stone. But the count never changed. A missed day did not reset the body. It weakened the spirit. Ryan learned this the hard way. Once sickness slowed him. Once doubt crept in. Once he considered stopping at 999. The old man's stick struck harder than before. "Perfection does not care how you feel," he said. Ryan finished the final swing with tears freezing on his cheeks. And then something shifted. The swings stopped feeling like effort. They became breathing. They became prayer. Not training for battle, but training to remain alive. In repetition, Ryan found freedom. In discipline, he found peace. And slowly, quietly, the legend that had died in the valley was being rebuilt. Not on talent, not on pride, but on daily practice paid for in sweat, pain, and unwavering commitment. This was the third discipline. And it demanded everything, every single day. Chapter 4, Discipline of Observation. Only after losing everything did he realize the duel was over. Before the swords even touched, the old man forbade sparring. No blades crossed. No strikes were exchanged. Instead, he told Ryan to sit, to watch. At first, it felt like punishment. Hours passed as Ryan studied falling leaves spiraling slowly toward the earth. Ants fighting over crumbs, pushing, retreating, adapting. Clouds drifting, sometimes against the wind, sometimes surrendering to it. His mind rebelled. This is not training. But the old man said nothing. Only watched him watch. Days turned into weeks. The mountain revealed patterns Ryan had never seen before. How predators waited longer than prey. How the smallest movement often decided the outcome. How stillness carried more information than motion. One who rushes to strike, the old man finally said, never sees the opening. The words sank deep. Ryan remembered the duel. The way the stranger had stood, relaxed, unguarded, unreadable. No tension in his shoulders, no hunger in his eyes. Ryan had moved first, confident, predictable. And in that instant, it was already over. The stranger had not reacted. He had allowed. Ryan's chest tightened as understanding settled in. Victory was not in speed, not in strength, but in seeing what others missed. The stranger had observed him long before the blade rang. His stance, his rhythm, his need to prove himself. Steel touching steel had only made the truth visible. Ryan closed his eyes. For the first time, he stopped trying to act. He simply noticed. The sound of wind before it changed direction. The shift of weight before movement. The moment before intention became action. This was the discipline of observation. To see without rushing, to wait without weakness, and to understand that every battle is decided long before the first strike is thrown. Chapter 5. Discipline of timing. That night, bandits climbed the mountain, and for the first time, he fought without rage. The wind carried their voices long before they appeared. Rough laughter, careless footsteps, the sound of men who believed fear lived only below the peaks. Ryan felt it immediately. The familiar heat in his chest, the old fire, the anger that had once made him feared across provinces. His hand reached for his sword without thought. The old man's grip stopped him. Firm, unyielding. Anger is loud, the old man said. Discipline is quiet. The bandits stepped into the clearing, blades drawn, eyes wild with hunger and confidence. Ryan stepped forward. Slowly, deliberately. He did not shout. He did not rush. Every movement was measured as if time itself had slowed to watch him. Steel met steel, but there was no fury behind it. Only control, no wasted strikes, no reckless swings. Each motion ended exactly where it needed to. A step here, a turn there. The bandits faltered, confused by a man who did not fear them and did not hate them. One fell, another dropped his blade. The rest fled into the dark, breathless and trembling. When silence returned, Ryan stood still. No roar of victory, no hunger for more, only calm. The old man nodded once. Anger had not been destroyed. It had been chained, guided, sharpened. This was the discipline of controlled anger. Not to feel nothing, but to let nothing control you. And for the first time since his defeat, Ryan realized true power did not burn. It waited. Chapter 6, Discipline of Accepting Death. The moment he accepted death, fear released him, and something far more dangerous took its place. Winter came hard, not gently, not slowly. The mountain buried itself in white, and mercy vanished with the sun. Food disappeared. The wind sharpened. Each breath cut like glass. Ryan pushed forward until his legs betrayed him. He collapsed into the snow, strength leaking from his body, vision dimming at the edges. The cold wrapped around him, patient and certain. The old man knelt beside him. His voice was low, steady, almost kind. "If you fear death," he whispered, "you will always hesitate." Ryan's thoughts slowed. Memories drifted. Victories, crowds, the name that once shook battlefields. All of it felt distant, heavy, useless. He stopped fighting the cold, stopped begging for warmth. Ryan closed his eyes and accepted it, not with despair, but with calm. When he awoke, firelight flickered before him. The flames burned brighter than he remembered. The old man sat nearby, feeding the fire without a word. Ryan inhaled deeply. The cold was still there. The danger remained. But something inside him had changed. Fear no longer tightened his chest, no longer whispered, "What if?" From that day on, hesitation loosened its grip. His movements became clean, his decisions immediate. Life no longer felt fragile, because death was no longer denied. This was the discipline of accepting death, to face it without flinching, and in doing so, to become truly alive. Chapter 7. Discipline of Patient. Years passed, and the old man still had not taught him the move he came to learn. Seasons turned like pages in a book Ryan could not rush. Spring softened the mountain. Summer burned it bare. Autumn stripped it again. Winter returned, unchanged and unforgiving. Ryan remained. Every day looked the same path, the same chores, the same practice before sunrise and after dusk. The sword moved, but no new technique was given. No secret strike, no final lesson. At last, Ryan asked the only question he had left. "When will I be ready?" The old man laughed. Not cruelly, not kindly, but like someone amused by a truth long misunderstood. When you stop asking, the answer cut deeper than any rebuke. Ryan said nothing. He returned to his work. Days stretched. Weeks dissolved. Years lost their edges. Something subtle began to change. His waiting no longer felt heavy. His effort no longer demanded reward. He practiced without expectation. He served without resentment. He endured without counting time. Patience did what force never could. It carved him slowly, relentlessly, until steel itself would have envied his edge. This was the discipline of patience, to remain without hurry, to grow without demand, and to understand that readiness arrives only when you no longer seek it. Chapter 8. Discipline of Adaptability. Only after breaking his blade did the old man finally reveal who his master truly was. It happened without warning. Rain turned the ground to mud. Ryan's footing slipped for the first time in years. Steel struck stone. His blade cracked, then snapped. The sound echoed through the mountain like a final judgment. Ryan froze. The sword he had rebuilt himself with lay useless in the dirt. The old man exhaled slowly. As it was meant to happen, he said. Then at last he spoke the truth. I am the last surviving student of Miyamoto Musashi. The name landed heavier than thunder. Ryan fell to his knees and bowed deeply, forehead touching the earth. Not in worship, in understanding. The old man did not let him linger. From that day on, nothing was familiar. He was forced to fight on uneven ground, on slopes where balance betrayed him, with broken blades, with sticks, with stones. Sometimes, with his eyes closed. No plan survives reality, the old man said as Ryan stumbled and fell again and again. Only those who adapt live. Ryan learned to release control, to abandon perfect form, to stop demanding conditions bend to his will. The mountain was never fair. Enemies never announced themselves. Life never waited for readiness. Adaptability was survival made conscious. Ryan stopped clinging to how things should be. He responded to how things were. A broken blade became an opening. Uneven ground became an ally. Blindness sharpened instinct. This was the discipline of adaptability, to move when structure fails, to remain dangerous when stripped of tools, and to understand that mastery is not rigidity, but the ability to change without breaking. Chapter 9. Discipline of Purpose. When the old man asked why he fought, the answer surprised them both. The mountain was quiet that morning. No wind, no snow, only stillness, as if the world itself was listening. One final discipline remains, the old man said. Ryan turned to face him, not as a student desperate for approval, but as a man who had been stripped, rebuilt, and tested by time. Why do you fight? The question echoed longer than any strike. Ryan searched himself, not his memories, not his legend, but the space left behind after both had been burned away. Before, the answer would have been easy. For glory, for fear, for a name that demanded survival. Now, he spoke slowly. Before I fought for glory. He paused. Now? To protect. To end conflict before it spreads. To live correctly. The words felt clean as they left him. Unforced. True. The old man studied him for a long moment. Then he nodded. Not as a master, but as a witness. You have found your purpose, he said. And purpose is the only blade that never dulls. Ryan bowed. Not in submission, but in alignment. This was the discipline of purpose. To know why you draw the blade. To let intention guide every action. And to understand that a warrior without purpose is only a danger. But a warrior with purpose becomes a guardian of order. Chapter 10. Discipline of Letting Go. Years later, another duel began at dawn, but this time, the ending left no legend behind. One morning, Ryan awoke to silence that felt different. The fire was cold. The mountain stood still. The old man was gone. No farewell. No final lesson. Only his walking staff resting beside the ashes. Ryan knelt and bowed, not in grief, in gratitude. There was nothing left to be taught. He descended the mountain without ceremony. No armor, no banner, only the discipline carved into his bones. Years passed. The world changed. Names rose. Names fell. And one morning at dawn, a stranger challenged him. No insults, no witnesses. Just two figures facing the quiet sky. 3 breaths. Steel rang once. The duel ended. Ryan bowed. Then he turned and walked away. No name spoken. No victory claimed. No story left for the crowd to cling to. This was the discipline of letting go, to release the need to be known, to abandon the hunger for recognition, to move through the world without leaving chains behind. And this is why these disciplines were buried in stories. Because once you learn them, you don't need approval. You don't need victory. You don't need recognition. You walk your own path, quiet, unshaken, free, like a true samurai.